Episode 12 God's Touch. Suitor Bjorn charged forward, brushing past Guinevere, whose blade rolled on his flesh, leaving a small cut. Javelin after javelin hurtled toward the monster, and two of the three were battered away before the suitor slammed a knife down. The motion, so fast and brutal, that it left Elidas on the ground. His chest and stomach opened to the air. His body sank into the flesh of the room, vanishing. Fenrir and Bjorn pounced on the suitor. Bjorn went low, hamstringing the beast and bringing it down for Fenrir to strike at its neck. With two quick blows, the monster's head thudded to the ground. The demon weathered the blows from Malara and Bjorn, commanded by Jonathan. It cursed in a thick tongue known by Guinevere alone, and looked with disgust on the decapitated suitor. Then she kicked the corpse. Blood burst from the flesh above the hoof to grasp and infuse into the dead suitor's head. The blood, like stitches for a doll, pulled the head back to the neck. Suitor Bjorn heaved upward and towards Fenrir. The bone knives tear into Fenrir, and he collapses, screaming. The Kraken men cried out for aid. "Guinevere, your blade just turns on flesh. Aid me." Guinevere took the insult and decided to batter at the suitor. Missing. Frustrated, Fenrir shattered his vial, forcing his torn body to recover and allowing him to command Charlotte. Charlotte bounded in from the side. The suitor Bjorn looked over from Fenrir to the wolf. Jaws clamped around flesh, and the suitor reared. The bone knives dropped, and it hurled the wolf away with its throat. It clawed at its ragged and torn neck before collapsing. Giving up on the suitor, the demonic Guinevere sent forth wave after wave of blinding blood. Blind and scrambling, the players eventually restrained the demon long enough for Charlotte, commanded this time by Jonathan, to go for the throat. Nerves frayed and emotions high, the players quickly gather blood and trophies before fleeing the bloody pit. Pained groans grow in intensity as they rush to the manhole and out into the twilight. There, in blood-soaked snow, Elidas clutched a wound that looked much better than the one he had received in the pit. Still, the wound showed ribs and ran down from his jaw to his thigh. Malara tried her best to patch him up, but the wound is beyond her abilities, and the man's vial is shattered. Malara and Bjorn are made to carry the torn-up man as they make a slow trek towards the Stray Fox Inn. As they enter the relative safety of the southern slums, they come across a strange animal. The hyena, as it would have been called in Ohm, pulled on Fenrir's pant leg till they all followed it. The hyena brought them before a tiger, then a dog, then a horse. They then get Fenrir, despite his injuries, to take Elidas with Malara, and the old player characters break away from Guinevere and Bjorn. At the bar of the Stray Fox sat Guinevere and Bjorn.
"My blade always turns. The bloody nerve of him,"
Guinevere complained. Bjorn grunted his agreement.
"He didn't have to insult me, and Jonathan always so bossy. But guts! He doesn't speak, so half the time you're just getting distracted by him waving his soft little hands and stomping about."
Bjorn grunted.
"Oh, Elucia, both their faces are so punchable. But they're never close enough to get at once."
Bjorn grunted.
"You're right. I'll just have to pick one."
In the dark of the night, in the cold snows of an abandoned alleyway, the animals change into the Thule Zoo. The hyena into Medea, the tiger into Aeth, the dog into Rariti, and the horse into Tahiri. The women are naked, but for the pelt of the animal they had been. They take Elidas into their arms and attempt to use blood magic to heal him. But the wound is too great, and the big man remained unconscious and in great pain. So they snuck the Thuluzu in through the back of the stray fox. Fenrir invited them up to meet with his grandmother, who shared their gifts. Rachel, who was in the back of the tavern at the time, gasped at the sight of Elidas, and though slightly nervous, offered to care for the man with her talents as a doctor. She reacted excitedly when the party accepted her offer.
It's always good to meet more young women fresh to their talents,
Charlotte said to the Thuluzu.
Fenrir, dear, we thank you for bringing these women to us. But we have topics for women's ears alone to discuss.
Mary, Rachel's grandmother, said, I have something to say and something to ask. Though what I ask I would like to ask in private, said Fenrir. You see, in ruined part of city, we have found dark place of power. The bloody pit can grant blood magic to women and unknown powers to men after facing a demonic counterpart. I thought would be good for Thuluzu to know.
Thank you, Fenrir. I will call for you when we are ready, said Charlotte.
A sharp knock came at Fenrir's door. Medea called into the room.
Your grandmother calls for you.
Up the stairs, Fenrir said. Katerina left this behind after death. He presented the heart to the old women. I think that you, grandmother, could make use of it?
Don't be too disappointed, Charlotte. That one was a long shot anyway, said Mary. You bring me 4 young witch-bloods to meet, then gift me with an organ of power, Charlotte jabbed playfully. Is it not a better use to court one of those fine young women you have shown to me? Of course, it would do little for a regular girl, but chase her off. But any witch could make use of a demon heart.
Fenrir looked down at the heart and blinked. A courting gift?
Yes, now go.
The flesh was pain. The flesh was life. The flesh was hate and wrath. It was lust and passion. Words of unknowable creation and meaning were spoken by voices. Yet somehow, Elidas purchased an instinctive understanding of the words. Something akin to knowing the meaning, but not.
He does not belong to you,
one whined.
Death in realms of blood makes him so, declared a once powerful voice, haggard by time. A crimson glow in Elidas's eyes darkened as a hand with 7 fingers pressed on the membrane of his mind. The pain was life. Another hand appeared, then another and another, till Elidas lost track of the reaching hands. You do not know the proper use of a fine piece like this one, the voice whined. You're too stupid to understand the intricacies of a mind like his. The other roared and the flesh tore. The life, the pain, it all crumbled around Elidas. And he woke. It was late at night. Bandages tugged tightly down his whole body, and pain flared at every motion. Rachel slept next to him, her head resting in her arms. Elidas found himself a covering before he started to pace. The pain was nothing compared to the mess of his mind. Tormented by the dream, Elidas searched for someone to confide in. Fenrir stared up at the ceiling,
sleep evading him as thoughts of the woman's face kept intruding. The image of Medea's legitimate happiness and excitement. He had never known a woman could be so beautiful. A whispered voice came from the door. "You, awake. What bothers you, Elidas?" "I had a dream. No, a vision. I must speak of it. Melara dreams. I would not wake her from her torments, as she sleeps little enough." The two worked late into the night, exploring the meanings of the vision. They came to great successes amongst the most frustrating dead ends. The hands with 7 fingers did appear somewhat friendly to Elidas. More vitally, the rough description that Elidas could manage of the language matched the description given by ancient texts of the unknowable language used by powers beyond that of mortals. The tongue used by gods.